Hello and welcome to the weekly wind-up from Kirklees Local Television. I'm Kyle Warwick, and joining me this week are Dave Hodgson, a weekly wind-up resident. Also joining is Kate Corner from the Horton Housing Association. On this week's programme we'll look at two issues. Firstly, we'll look at the dissolving of Parliament and the official start of the election campaign. On Tuesday the 30th of March, David Cameron visited Buckingham Palace to ask the Queen's permission to dissolve Parliament. That process signalled the official start of the election campaign. Dave, how does the fact that our Prime Minister has to ask permission from the Queen, constitutionally has to ask permission from the Queen to dissolve Parliament, how does that make you feel?
Interesting, because it's protocol. It's been evolved over the centuries of having Parliament. It has to be done. And on face value, you could look at it and say, what a load of fuss. Why can't they just go and come back after there's been an election? But there is a point of principle here, and that is, I do happen to believe that it is better to have a head of state who is above politics rather than a politician just for a short period of time being that head of state, because whatever he or she is, it is very, very difficult to put politics aside. For America, for instance, where they just don't bother with the president putting politics aside. The president is whatever he is and goes for his party. And we have this weird situation when the other party is uppermost, there's absolute stalemate. Doesn't work, but ours works because although it's archaic, it hits the right buttons.
Indeed. What are your opinions on the political debates?
Oh dear, yes. It started, hasn't it? Somebody fired the starting gun. And my overall opinion at the moment is how negative it's been. Everybody standing behind their safe little barriers, just shouting "Yabu sucks" at everybody else, and we're good, you bad. And that's all it's been. There are little bits of policies put forward, but it's almost like every leader is afraid to put his or her ideas to the front, because before they've even stopped talking, somebody somewhere is shooting them down and saying it can't happen, it won't happen, you'll make a mess of it. Well, maybe, I don't know, but I would like to hear who is willing to do what, and I will make up my mind. I don't want the newspapers to tell me what I should think. So generally speaking, and don't get me started on Mr. Paxman, because the programme that was on about a week ago, wasn't it, where he was interviewing, for me that just said how clever Mr. Paxman thinks he is. Nothing to do with politics at all. Why ask somebody a question about their past? Why ask somebody if they think they're tough enough to be Prime Minister? No, it's just Jerry Paxman showing off and just trying. Oh yes, he did manage to put David Cameron on the wrong foot, didn't he? And he did just manage to make Mr. Miliband rather defensive and rather angry at the same time. Maybe that's what he wanted, but it doesn't tell us, the people, what we want to know, and that is, if you were there, what would you do?
Indeed. Kate, I'll come to you now. Is there anybody of the politicians that are going to be taking part in the debates, is there anybody that particularly appeals to you at the moment as a voter?
Not at this moment in time, no. I'm still very undecided myself, as I'm sure are a lot of other people. Watching the party political broadcasts, it gets to the end of them and you're still quite unsure as to which way you're wanting to vote.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you're looking for from a politician, would you say, do you think? Maybe, I don't know, we're talking later about your organisation, Horton Housing, and some of the funding maybe comes from political organisations. Is that something that bears in mind for you when you're...
It certainly does, yes. Obviously working for a charity and all the other charities out there, we need to know that there's going to be support, that there's going to be continued funding streams that come through from the government to be able to, for those charities to continue to be able to deliver the services that they do deliver. Yeah,
absolutely. Dave, back to you. Yep. You were speaking a little bit there about Jeremy Paxman, the interviews and the personal nature of some of the questions. Do you feel we're seeing almost an Americanisation of the political system in Britain?
I think it's inevitable. Yes, it's going to happen because the only way to get your point across is to shout louder than anybody else, and that is the prevailing way of thinking, and that is indeed what's happening now. I look at the party political broadcasts, and I'm starting to use because some of them are on the BBC. Oh, great! I'm going to use it as a commercial, and I go out and put the kettle on. So interested am I in what's being said, because they've lost the art of telling people what really they are going to do. It's all in sound bites. And that's how things have developed. I don't think we can put the genie back in the bottle, more's the pity. I don't think we can go back to the honourable state of politics, because being an MP has now become a good career move. Now, in the past, it was done through all parties, I'd say, through altruistic, wanting to do better. Okay, having different ways and different ideas of wanting to, but there was a genuine feeling collectively there that what was being done would be for the good of people in the country. Now it's what's in it for me.
Yeah. Somebody from the BBC said that the debates would ultimately seal the death note, if you will, of two-party politics in Britain. Is that something that you agree with?
Well, it's on the brink of happening, isn't it? Of course, the problem is you get the same old from the same old parties. And somebody comes on and with a slightly different, either off message or something completely different. And, oh, that's good, isn't it? Like, for instance, one party politics. Well, I'm not going to tell you the name of it, but everybody knows. They have one issue, they shout it from the rooftops. And actually, I've come to quite admire that party, because the leader of it has staked her party's claim out, saying, this is who we will support if we are elected, this is who we won't support, and even if we're supporting party A, we will hold them to account. And I thought, good on you. I don't agree with you, but good on you, because I've always come to the opinion that, you know, I might not like what you say, but I will fight for the death for your right to say it, not shout you down.
That's great, thank you very much. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for on this topic. If you'd like to get in contact with the Weekly Wind-Up about anything you've heard today, please do so by email, info@kirkleeslocaltv.com, or you can find us on Twitter by searching @The Weekly Wind-Up. After the break, we'll be discussing Horton Housing's CoAchieve service with Kate Corner. Thank you.
However large or small your business, attracting new customers requires dedication and a lot of patience. Just like fishing, but you also need the right gear.
Rods, reels, lines, hooks, sinkers, lures,
tackle box, tackle bag, net, bait, gaff, gloves, clothes, and pocket knife lunch.
Or you could simply advertise with KLTV. Online, grow your business and your clientele. KLTV, your vision made reality. Should have gone to KLTV.
And welcome back. Joining me this week are Dave Hodgson and Kate Corner. Now, Kate is here to discuss the CoAchieve project that is part of the services offered by Horton Housing. Kate, for those who don't know about your organisation, could you tell us a little bit about Horton Housing?
Yes, of course. Horton Housing is a charitable organisation which provides support to vulnerable people. That's housing, care and training services. We're predominantly based in Bradford, but we also work across Kirklees, Calderdale and North Yorkshire as well. Horton started as a day shelter, providing hot food and shelter for the homeless back in the late 70s. And we now provide over 30 services throughout the area that we cover. And we're also proud to be saying that this year is our 30th anniversary as well.
Very good. What is the CoAchieve service? What does it provide?
So CoAchieve is a Kirklees-wide service. It's there to support people who are in recovery from drug and alcohol misuse into employment or work-like activities or volunteering opportunities.
And what are some of the positives that you've got from some of the businesses that have been involved in the CoAchieve service? What are some of the feedback that you've got?
We work with a range of employers who we work very closely with. They've helped us set up volunteering opportunities for some of our clients, as well as job opportunities. We've recently had one client who was struggling with interview techniques and was extremely nervous when it came to interviews, and had walked out quite a few times before he'd actually got to interview point. We actually arranged with that particular employer to have more of an informal interview for him, so that he could relax a bit more. Fortunately for him and for us and for the employer, that led to employment, and he's still there today.
That's fantastic. Dave, what do you think of such a service?
Absolutely bang on. More power to your elbow. What worries me is that maybe whatever party gets in at the election and whatever combination, I wouldn't want them to see the funding cut, and yet it's almost like a ripe vegetable waiting to be plucked, isn't it? And I fear for your future. I do hope that the MPs will see sense, and if there's enough of them, if there's enough of us petition to say, look, you cannot stop this happening, then everything will be okay. But I mean, the problem is, I'm going to sound a bit poetic here, but like love, there's not enough jobs to go around at the moment, and I think if we can improve both for everybody, then the place will be a better place to live. In fact, I'd almost be doing you out of a job with that, wouldn't I? But I think, to be honest, you'll be there for a long time, and more power to your elbow. I think you're doing a splendid, splendid job.
Thank you. And Kate, what do you hope people accessing the service can get out of it and achieve long term?
Okay. The clients that we have that come to the service, first of all, they are linked up with the recovery navigator, who will assess them and identify any support needs that they may have. It might be that they need extra literacy support or some IT support, or they may not be quite work ready. Once we've got them to the point where they are ready to actually start work and looking for work, they'll then work with one of our E2E caseworkers who will do individual tailored support for them. So they'll help them create a CV, look at job search, because for many, particularly people who maybe have been in recovery for quite a number of years, the whole job market has changed. So the way that people look for jobs and find employment is different to what it was, say, 20 years ago. So it might be quite a new challenge for them, realising that they've also got to have IT skills to be able to look for work as well, because that's where they go to do the universal job match. So obviously, we work with the employers as well. We identify job opportunities that do actually suit the clients that we've got. So we don't want to push them into sort of just any old job. We want them to be in jobs that will be sustainable for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do people access the service? I know sometimes when you're in certain situations, it's difficult to even find out about these services and things. So how do people go about accessing your service? We
work with a number of service providers who support people in recovery from drug and alcohol misuse. We also work closely with the job centre, so any jobs that we identify that we're unable to fill with some of our clients, we will speak to the job centre about them as well. So yeah, and we work with Kirklees residents over 18 throughout the whole of Kirklees.
Right, and if you could give some advice to people maybe who are a bit reluctant maybe or don't maybe feel they're right for your service, what would you say to those people?
Just come along down and see us. We don't, no one's pressured when they come in. We take everybody as they are. It might be that the service isn't suitable for them and they might need to go back to a service that were with or previously, or it might be that we refer them on to other services if they're not quite ready. But we will support everybody as much as we possibly can. Not only that, once we've actually helped someone gain employment, we do actually continue to support them whilst they're in employment as well. So it's not just a case of them getting a job and then being dropped off the ladder and left to sort it all out on their own and manage their budgeting on their own. We will support them and the employer as well.
Right. And do you have a website or anything like that that people can visit to find out about your service? or
Yes,
an
you can email us at coachieve@hortonhousing.co.uk. You could also Google Horton Housing and find CoAchieve on there as well. And as I say, there's referrals through Job Centre and other local places.
That's great. Thank you both very much for your time. Unfortunately, that is all we've got time for this week. As always, if you would like to get in contact with the Weekly Wind-Up about anything you've heard today, you can do so by email, info@kirkleeslocaltv.com, or you can also find us on Twitter by searching @The Weekly Wind-Up. I've been Kyle Warwick. Thank you and goodbye.